one of the great things about our app is that we've been able to integrate transport directly into the map, and therefore you can select it and integrate it into your itinerary and instantly reflect in the trail stats what they look like when you include taking that transport. And so I've laid out an example here on the Tour de Mont Blanc of what might be some people's sort of first 3 days that they've been able to book on the trail. And so we're starting here in Les Houches with the 0 waypoint, staying the first night at Refuge Nat Borrent, where the 1 is, then onto Le Chapillot, and then onto Refugio Maisonville, just outside Courmayeur in Italy. So we look over here at the left-hand panel, and for day 1, we've got the trail stats of 8 hours of hiking at the average pace following the main route all the way. And we might decide that that's too much to start the tour with. And therefore, what do? And so we zoom in and we can see this purple dotted line, and these purple dotted lines are sort of throughout the map, and each of them represent transport that you could include in your itinerary. And so if you click on any of them, you'll see some details of cost and operating dates. If you've got the previous season's operating dates, it's to give you an indication of what the upcoming season is likely to be, but that information isn't available yet. When it is, we'll integrate it into the app so you can confirm that it's running when you're planning to hike. But they're very similar year on year. And so you want to include that in your plan. And so to do that, what you need to do is create a route waypoint. And that can be done by clicking anywhere on the light blue line, which is your route. And you'll create this route waypoint which has a decimal place to it. So we've got our 0.1 there. And then these route waypoints with a decimal place, they can be dragged to change your route. So you can drag this one onto that transport line, and over here you'll see that we went from 8 hours to just over 6 hours of estimated hiking time for this day. And we also had a drop in the distance and elevation gain as well by doing this, and loss by doing this. So that's added that one in there. And that's a cable car there. Now over here on day 3, we've got another big day planned from Le Chapillot to Refugio Maisonville. And again, we figure that might be too much to achieve on this day. So we know that there's a bus that runs up Val de Glacier between Le Chapillot and the car park near Refuge Motets, and we'd like to include that in our plan. So for a bus, it can be a little bit different. It's the same in principle, but what we've built into the app is this logic that the route always wants to take the main trail as a priority, and then its next preference is to follow the alternate route. And then if you want it to go on transport, you really have to tell it to take a transport route. And so if I click on here and I create another route waypoint and I try and drag that across, what it's doing is it's coming off the main trail and coming back onto the main trail. And I have to drag it right down to a point where it says, okay, I'll go onto that. It makes sense now to leave the main trail, go past that route waypoint, which you're sort of telling me to do, and then continue on the route and rejoin with the main trail further along. And so what it's done here is it's gone to the first bus stop after sort of boarding down here in Le Chapillot, and it's come back off the transport and gone onto the main trail here. But let's say you decide you want to take it right to the end of the line where there's another bus stop here at the car park near Refuge Motets. And so what you need to do is create another route waypoint and drag it onto that section as well. So the message is that between bus stops, you're likely going to need a route waypoint on each of those sections to ensure that you direct the trail or your route to follow that line in its entirety, and to the point where then it can jump off and then follow the main trail as it wants to do.